I am Thalia, your educational avatar. In our previous knowledge clip, we explored the three concepts of mission, vision, and strategic policy. We also discussed collective ambition. In this knowledge clip, we will focus on designing a mission-vision process within your organization. I will provide you with a practical step-by-step action plan and valuable tips to successfully approach this process. We begin our exploration with the important concept of core values. Core values are, after all, the building blocks of collective ambition. But where do these core values actually come from? Core values emerge from a cyclical process. For example, someone observes a particular event. This observation often occurs without our conscious awareness in a selective manner. The individual then assigns meaning to what he has observed. Since we have been doing this from a young age, it ultimately leads to the development of basic assumptions. Basic assumptions are deeply rooted, unconscious beliefs and values that influence your thinking and actions. They largely determine how you think, feel, and act, and shape the way you perceive and interpret the world around you. Basic assumptions form the foundation for core values. Through self-reflection, an individual can become aware of his core values. Your core values partly determine your identity. What do you stand for? Core values serve, often unconsciously, as a guideline when making decisions and setting priorities. In this way, they influence our behavior. The personal core values of team members can connect them with one another. The core values then stimulate the emergence of a collective ambition. In a mission-vision process, it is therefore important to first explore the personal core values of employees. From these personal values, we can then formulate core values that apply to the entire organization. In a mission-vision process, we distinguish between personal core values and organizational core values. After employees have explored and shared their personal core values, they can reflect on their personal or internal drives. Internal drives are the inner motivations and desires that stem from these core values. What do you want to contribute to the world or your organization? What do you stand for? This relates to the concept of mission. Drives also pertain to what do you want to create, which aligns well with the concept of vision, the dot on the horizon. When the internal drives of individual employees come together and are collectively given meaning, a powerful synergy emerges that inspires and connects the organization in pursuing common goals. This leads to a collective ambition. With this, we now have a practical step-by-step action plan to achieve a successful mission-vision process. I will now give you an example of an activity that encourages employees to reflect on their personal core values. You provide them with an A4 sheet containing a list of various possible core values. Employees are also allowed to add their own examples of core values to this list. Next, you ask them to individually select 10 personal core values that resonate most with them. Once they have completed this, you assign them the task of choosing 5 core values from those 10 that they consider the most important. People often find this quite challenging. Once they have succeeded, you repeat the task, but this time they must select 3 core values from the 5 they previously chose. You clarify that the other selected values remain meaningful to them, but the 3 remaining core values best represent the employee. You can then invite the employees to share and discuss their core values with one another. Now that the personal core values of the employees have been made clear to themselves and to each other, the core values at the organizational level can be established in a similar manner. You divide the team into several subgroups. Each group formulates 3 core values that they consider most important for the organization. Next, you bring together pairs of groups and have them share their outcomes, narrowing them down to 3 core values. Ultimately, this process results in 2 groups, representing both halves of the team, each having selected 3 core values at the organizational level. These core values are then shared again and collectively narrowed down to 3. These will be the 3 core values of the organization. You consistently use a set of 3 core values because a larger number cannot provide clear direction for actions. This activity works best in small to medium-sized teams. In very large teams, you can work with representatives from different departments. When discussing core values, it is essential to concretize them. What do you see us doing or not doing in concrete terms? This approach helps prevent the values from becoming hollow concepts. Additionally, the negotiation process of continually narrowing down the number of core values to 3 is facilitated. Perhaps someone has selected a different core value than their colleague, but through this concretization, they may both conclude that their values are quite similar. As we have seen earlier, core values lead to drives, the inner motivations and desires that stem from these core values. It is important for team members to be able to share their personal drives with one another. An inspiring activity is the passion table. In this activity, each team member brings a few metaphors from home that symbolize their passion. These can relate to work, hobbies, or family. During the activity, the employees set up a table with their brought metaphors. The team is divided into 2 halves. One half presents their passions at the tables, while the other half walks around the tables, engaging in conversations about the displayed metaphors. Employees can choose to enhance their table with decorative elements, such as tablecloths, candles, etc. Some employees initially respond with skepticism to the name Passion Table, finding it somewhat fluffy. However, in the end, everyone always proudly shares their passions for work, hobbies, or family. Gaining insight into what drives or motivates each team member often creates a great deal of understanding within the team. If we take another look at our step-by-step action plan, we see that I have delved deeper into a practical activity to establish core values at both the personal and organizational levels. I have also provided you with an activity where employees can share their personal passions or drives with one another. To achieve a meaningful collective ambition, it is essential that the processes of sense-making are of high quality. This places demands on the culture of the organization. In the next knowledge clip, I will explore the characteristics of a professional culture and how to achieve it. In this knowledge clip, I will already provide you with some tips to enhance the quality of the process of sense-making. I will do this using Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, Jim Collins' Hedgehog concept, and the concept of twisted organizations as described by Wouter Hart. I will also explain why it is crucial to avoid vague terms when formulating the vision or collective ambition. I will now show you Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. When developing a vision, this circle can serve as a good starting point. You begin with the why question. Suppose your team wants to adopt the principle of putting the child at the heart of the organization. You would then ask yourself why this is important. The why question revolves around your purpose. What are you doing this for? According to Sinek, only when it is clear why you want or do something can people believe in it. Once the why is clear, you can zoom in on the how question, which addresses the process. For example, how do we want to ensure that the child is more put at the heart of our organization? What cultural aspects, processes, and structures are needed to achieve that? You then conclude with the what question, the product or the result. In our example, if the child is more at the heart of our organization, what do you see us doing or not doing? What organizational structures have been developed? What facilities are in place? Jim Collins has conducted extensive research on what successful organizations have in common. He identified what he calls the hedgehog concept. Collins found that successful organizations consistently sought the point where the 3 yellow circles overlap with each other. When choosing their activities, they asked themselves questions, such as, what is our passion? What is the demand? And what are we good at? To effectively formulate and communicate the educational vision, educational leadership is crucial for a school leader. In this context, the school leader could establish and oversee priorities, utilizing the hedgehog concept as a guiding framework. Choosing one option inherently means consciously not choosing the other. Working with a vision-oriented approach entails making decisions and setting priorities. It is crucial to articulate these choices and their rationale in relation to the collectively formulated mission and vision. In processes of shared meaning-making, it is important to avoid getting stuck in vague terminology, jargon, or politically correct responses. This can be achieved by further elaborating on these concepts and collaboratively assigning meaning and substance to them. For instance, we may state that the child is at the heart of the organization. But what does that concretely mean for us? What actions do you envision us taking? And what do you see us deliberately avoiding? This approach helps prevent situations where, after a study session, participants leave satisfied, but with entirely different mental images, and consequently, varying expectations regarding the articulated vision and agreements made. It is also advisable to keep in mind that teachers can vary significantly in their professional orientations, based on distinctions in their approach to instructional methodology, educational goals, and attitudes toward the school organization. Van Veen identifies 6 professional orientations. These are illustrated in the table alongside. You can imagine that depending on their professional orientation, teachers may experience and interpret certain concepts emotionally in different ways. The collective articulation and concretization of meanings is essential, particularly for key concepts. This helps prevent the use of broadly accepted yet vaguely defined terms during negotiation processes. If this occurs in the formulation of the mission and vision, there is a risk that these terms will be shaped according to each individual's interests and mental models in the practical implementation. Finally, I would like to address the concept of twisted organizations, as described by Wouter Hart. The formal structures, processes, and rules within an organization are often referred to as the organization's system world. This system world should ideally support daily practice, or the living world. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. Wouter Hart refers to such situations as twisted organizations, where the system world takes precedence, even when this can be counterproductive to the organization's intended purpose. Hart emphasizes the importance of directing organizational thinking from the inside out. This means shaping processes in daily practice, based on the organization's purpose, or its mission and vision, while ensuring that the system world, with all its procedures, protocols, and work agreements, serves as supportive rather than dominant. In this list, you can see which sources I consulted while creating this knowledge clip. This was my explanation on shaping a mission and vision process. I hope my insights have inspired you. In the next knowledge clip, I will delve deeper into how you can collaboratively formulate concrete and time-bound goals with your team. I hope to see you soon.